Hello, fam. Love and salutations, good people. Thank you so much for tuning into the Slow Wealth podcast and StreamYard today. I am Kendra.
And I'm Ramon.
And today we have guests Dan and Angelina with Best Choice Realty. And as we have in our previous podcasts and shows, we always start off with a powerful motivational quote. And it starts by saying, be careful about judging a man's choices when you don't fully understand his changes.
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah, I like this one too. I was, yesterday when I went to go get my hair done, I got my hair cut yesterday. The lady that did my hair, she was phenomenal. She's a celebrity stylist, and she has some issues that she talks about publicly. She has hereditary alopecia. And I'm looking at her. This is my first time going to her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she don't got no hair. And she slayed my hair. She's done my hair better than anybody else has, hands down. Yeah. Because I'm a natural, and normally I wear the fro. Yeah. But I was like, I gotta switch it up. So, immediately my judgment was like, oh my God, I'm gonna walk out of here and be ready to cuss her out. But she did something that was, transformative and amazing. So yeah, that's just my story.
Hey, that's a good one. Glad you didn't say nothing to her and get kicked out.
Get kicked out, or get escorted out. You know how we are about our hair, Angelina.
Come on now.
Right? All right. So let's get into our show. Again, we have Dan and Angelina from Best Choice Realty, and we are so glad that you have graced our show with your presence. You are a lovely couple from the first time we met y'all. We just want to start by asking you guys just to, be comfortable. Don't feel like you have to, do anything special for us. So we just want to make sure that y'all comfortable. And again, welcome to the show. Just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, well, both of us are born and raised here in Seattle, Pacific Northwest. My parents divorced when I was young. So every summer I would get to go back to New Jersey and spend time with my dad's family. Ended up going to high school in New Jersey, graduating, and then going to college down in Atlanta Christian College, and graduating from there with the child development degree. I've lived in Portland, Oregon. I've traveled pretty much all around the United States. My wife has too.
Traveled, but I'm born and raised in the Northwest. My stomping grounds are Lake Washington area. So I'm just a Washingtonian. I got a world traveler on my hands here.
That's amazing.
We both have our roots here, but we love our Bundy family. Mother Brand back in Jersey and on the East Coast. We love them. I've had the best family, extended family that anyone could have. So yeah. And we both
awesome. That's awesome. I love when people talk about themselves, because normally when you ask people to tell me about yourself, they're always going into what they do.
Right.
So that's nice that you talk about yourselves and you're in depth, and you give praise to each other, because a lot of times we don't get to see many successful and healthy Black marriages.
Right.
So that's also amazing.
Well, that's one thing that I wanted to share with both of you today too, is that this is the first time that we've been interviewed together. And we want to say thank
crazy.
you.
Thank you guys.
All the time, but
Dan, we couldn't ask you and not put her in it. Come on,
right?
Of course, it's a monumental moment here.
Yeah,
right. It is.
Right. It is. Thank you guys. Kudos. You guys win the award.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And how did y'all meet? Like, how did y'all get together?
I'll let my wife share the story.
Well,
Hold on. Do we need a disclaimer before we start this?
Yeah. It had been prophesied some years prior, long time prior, and that I would meet him and I would know him immediately. And I was driven to go to a New Year's Eve gathering at our friend Carlos's house, which I didn't know him at the time. So I basically crashed the party, but had an urgency. And I met my husband, and I knew immediately he was my husband. It was a quickening moment, and we married 7 months to the day after.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That really is amazing. I mean, you know, that electricity was there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, Ramon, if you remember, but during the time when you had first came to Seattle, I was telling everybody, man, I'm about to get married.
Hey, I remember you saying that, but I hadn't met her at the time. I remember
Well, we didn't even know each other when you were saying
I didn't
that.
even know. I didn't know her.
Oh.
Yeah, but I knew, you know, this is something that I prayed about, and I was just like, I'm ready now, you know. Lord, help me find my wife, you know. And man, he did just that, and it was amazing. You know, it's almost 5 years, but you know, it's just, you know, we have our ups and downs like any couple, but I mean, she knows I'm not going nowhere and she's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
She leaves, I'm following behind. If
Yeah.
I leave,
Where
she's
we
following
going?
behind.
Yeah.
So Dan, how long is the contract?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. One of us leave the earth before the other one. Make a way for us to get there together.
Right. I tell Ramon, this is like the mafia. This is blood in, blood out, buddy. This it, one and done.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
That's
When I actually met you guys, when I met you guys, I was like, wow, I like their energy.
Yeah.
And we were just starting to date, if there's such a thing, in June, and we married in July. So
Oh wow.
Oh man. Yeah, I know you were talking about Kendra when you said that.
right. I was like, where are you guys at? Let's be a family.
Right. Yeah, it was
You know what's funny is because you probably know this, but like 3-4 months before we moved, we found that I had family in Seattle.
What?
So my granddad passed, and so we went back to East St. Louis. That's where my dad's side, and found out that I had like a few cousins that lived in Seattle. I think in the old Central District, Kendra.
Yeah, the Central area.
Man, it was crazy, and they like older, you know, the older cousins on my dad's side. So, you know, when we started getting to know them, we like, oh man, they be like, hey, we moving though. They like, what?
Yeah, we're moving in January.
But it was crazy. Yeah, it was just crazy.
You have other family, right?
Man.
Here, no.
Well, that's why Washington can be your home too.
Man, they need some more sun up there for me.
Yeah, just a little bit more. I mean, it's beautiful, I'm sure, this time of year, but
yeah.
Hey, look, I ain't gonna say that because you know we was up there for a little bit, so I'm like, man, the rain ain't the problem; it's the cloudy days for me. I'm like,
nah. The cloudy days for us too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the meat.
Okay.
We'll start by asking you how long you've been in real estate.
Okay, I've just celebrated 20 years in August.
Wow.
And my wife just celebrated 19 in February.
That's some vet.
She's been doing it for a while, and plus she did lending 5 years prior to
real estate sales. Yeah.
So she's got both sides, like lending and real estate.
Wow. I did not know that.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay. So did you both start as, well, now that you're both brokers, because Washington, you start off as brokers, is that right?
Well, agents and brokers. It's just terminology now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what's your specialty in real estate.
We practice every single day in real estate. So Our niche, I guess, if there should be such a thing, as that we study the marketplace. We study the trends. We check nationally to find out where we are, both in successful trends as well as things that aren't as pretty. Washington was just named the #1 homeless problem in the United States.
Yeah,
so
we have the worst.
Yeah, we have the worst homeless factor, which certainly per capita is not a pleasant thing. But agents that know that can understand what those trends might have to look like when you're growing. For instance, transportation. So we're pretty new to Metro as a transportation. We've only had our light rail system since maybe 91-ish or so is when that planning started. So to have that kind of knowledge in your place, it makes for practice being more successful. So we negotiate contracts.
Yeah. Buyers and sellers.
Both buyers and sellers and investors.
Yeah.
We understand the trends, so we know where to direct or encourage investors to invest in. We are not currently flippers. We are encouraging folks to have and hold. Although there are some trends with some of the other big brands that are describing, hey, trust us to go in, find a place, and this is how you'll flip it. This is how you'll turn your money. Yeah. But we are trending to more of a have and hold marketplace.
Okay, that's awesome. So you have worked with flippers in the past, or have you flipped homes in the past?
Oh yeah, we've been at one of the best flipping banners there is. So we've worked with flippers that have assisted us in trending the marketplace. What does $100,000 look like, and what does $1 million look like, or multi-millions look like? Yeah. So we understand the trends in design as well.
And basically have a formula to go along with what's the #1 paints, what's the #1 flooring, the countertops, cabinets, all things of that matter. We just try to really keep ourselves educated, and constantly, as well as keeping our clients educated, because at the end of the day, education is going to be key, because the last thing that we want a client to come and tell us is we didn't understand, or we didn't know that it was going to end up like this. We want to know A, B's, and C's of what you're about to get involved in, because a lot of times, with various different career paths and ways of life, people think, they look at the end result and they say, oh, that looks easy. I think I could do that, and basically, there's only a small percentage of real estate agents and brokers that are really making money,
that
are selling properties. Majority are starving students. They're looking under rocks. They looking
they forget the whole marketplace.
Hey, I told kids we got to go to the funeral home, man. This cat
start listing properties like that. I mean, it's like you said, it is a competitive market. It's really competitive, so you got to be hungry.
Yeah, and it's changed.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and it's changed so much in the last few years. The millennials have really changed the game. I mean, they do their own research. They'll go to the house, they'll look at the house from the outside, creep through the windows, go online, look at the old listings. I mean, they'll write without even going inside the house. Yeah, sight unseen.
Absolutely.
So,
the trend.
A lot of it, they don't want to meet you. They don't want to meet you in person. They don't want to hear all what you got to say to them. They just want you to write the contract, submit the contract, let them know if they got the offer accepted.
And move on. They're quick.
They are. And then once it's under contract, then they want to do all the negotiating and, get the inspections done and stuff like that. I mean, like you said, it's the trend.
Yeah.
So we just kind of go with it, right?
I'm glad y'all said that too, because, with us being investors, we've encountered a lot of real estate agents. And sometimes we found out that we would know more than them. And I'm like, well, it made me question, like, all right, but I'm paying you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what I'm saying? Like, why am I paying you and I know more than you?
Right.
So Yeah, you know what that and it's I think it's a big pool of agents out here who a lot of them are getting leads. A lot of them are in markets where they don't even have to know anything because people don't die. So it's like, hey, just write this up.
Totally.
So, you know, they don't know anything. Like they don't know how to fill out the contract. They don't know how to do any of that crap. So it's like you said, being knowledgeable, knowing all of these things, like it really keeps you a few steps ahead of people. And then when that market actually hits that downturn, it's going to really show who's for real.
Man, and I'm glad you said that, you know, because that's the thing that people don't realize about real estate is that it has its ups and it has its downs. But regardless if it's up or down, you still got to continue your business, and you still have to figure out now what's going on. Are people, you know, we're about to hit a low where people have been on these forbearances and moratoriums, and you know they haven't been paying their mortgages. What's going to happen with that? Well, we know the answer to that. They're going to start trying to sell their houses, or they're going to lose their houses. So what that's going to do is it's going to put more inventory out
in the
there.
marketplace. It depends on how it goes, but an agent that is pushing you to a sight unseen or something that you don't understand, they're probably looking for a paycheck because you want to secure your asset for your client.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And that is the problem is a lot of people are not able to sustain in a very volatile industry like this. And being that both of you have, you know, like a lot of longevity in this and you've made this your passion in your career, that's very like rewarding to see that. And
motivation.
It also gives a lot of people motivation, you know, to say, hey, you know, there are people that are very educated in the industry and that have given their all. You know what I mean? Because like you said, it's not just about a paycheck with this. This is, you know, you're 100% commission and you have to make it just, you pretty much have to breathe it every day. Like you said, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you are your business. So you're promoting yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's so true.
Man, yeah, people need to say it again for the people in the back.
Well, what made you choose a career path in real estate?
Well, for me, basically, you know, for both of us, we both have, you know, our grandparents owned real estate, our parents. My mother actually sold real estate. Angelina's mother actually invested in real estate. So we've known about real estate all of our lives. And what got me involved with it is I wanted to know more about it. I figured if I ever wanted to own a house, I needed to, you know, figure out how are people buying houses. And I went through the class, got my license, and started figuring it out.
And then my uncle, I was raised in a real estate firm. My uncle had a firm in Washington, in the Seattle metro. And so my aunt was the first licensed escrow officer. So I saw it from all ends. And even though they encouraged me not to go into real estate, I had to do it anyway. So, you know, and I mean, you know, even right now, it's 90 hours. I mean, how do you have a ceiling as great as the revenue stream without choosing real estate? I mean, it's a long asset. If you just use it as passive income, it is built to do what it does. And I think now I know we have multiple children with licenses in the industry, but one of our children, my son Marcus, is getting into real estate. He's going to get his license in the next few weeks, just for the purpose of using his commission to buy real estate.
Oh, that's smart.
So that's an awesome strategy. And I think mine was more like that. I mean, you wanted to buy a home.
Yeah. And then also with me, you know, I just knew that with real estate, you know, there's no ceiling.
No ceiling.
Know, I mean, you sell one house a year, or you could sell 10 houses in 1 month. So with that, it just motivated me to know that, man, if you want to be a millionaire, if you want to be a multimillionaire, you can make it happen with this revenue stream.
Absolutely.
Also, you saying I could borrow a couple hundred till next week?
Man, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna cash after you after the show.
Right.
You know, it's so amazing to hear. Again, we talk about we love everyone and we want everyone to succeed, no matter their color, creed, whatever, you know, they identify with.
Absolutely.
But to see Black people and to hear Black people that were raised in real estate families, that is amazing, because we don't hear that you know, we don't hear it that often. With both Ramon and I, just a little bit of background, we grew up in the same place. You know, I grew up living in the Jets for a while, and you know, I didn't know a lot about ownership.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything about ownership. You know, my grandmother owned her home. She inherited it from her parents, and it was important. They knew the importance of ownership and, you know, having something that they can leave for their daughter. But when I think about others in my family, like my dad and my mother, they didn't start, you know, buying and investing until later in life. And, you know, they were always like, you know, don't do this, don't make this mistake, don't do that. Well, lo and behold, you know, by the age of 30, I was in bankruptcy, you know, because of mistakes that I made in my youth. We weren't taught about wealth.
That's right. We both have experienced bankruptcy together. My fault, but you know, bad decisions. And I think real estate. I took a real estate course in high school. I remember my uncle coming in and teaching the class for, you know, the teacher for the day in high school, 10th grade, Rainier Beach. You know, go Vikings. But anyway. I learned a little bit about it, but didn't really understand it. I think it should be a part of, I mean, we should teach our children about the value of credit.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one thing that I was going to mention, is that, you know, some things in life that haven't been taught to us in school or even in our home lives, those are some of the most important things that we need to know. I mean, as far as, I mean, look at, you know, everything that the government and that, you know, the authorities and the powers to be did to keep us from going into certain areas to purchase homes.
Yes.
You know, and when you think about that, you think about the power that they knew that it had. Okay. And even to this day, I mean, you guys know Seattle pretty well.
Right.
The up in North Seattle go for double what the houses in the South then go for. They're the same identical house. As a matter of fact, they're a little worse.
Actually, structures are a little questionable.
But because they're in those areas, and it's a proven fact that, you know, Europeans' homes sell for more than African Americans or Mexican Americans or Asian Americans.
Absolutely.
You know,
and that matters.
And it does.
And Washington yesterday or the day before yesterday was the first state to say for the next 3 years, insurance will not be based on credit, because someone found that insurance is higher in minorities households.
Oh, definitely.
Well, we already knew. You know, we all knew that. Because we all steal and destroy. You know, that kind of comes off like that. You know, like sad. I've never seen anybody steal a car in our neighborhood. And how often do you wake up? You know, because we like to stay in neighborhoods where we're celebrated and not tolerated. Right. So, people around here wake up and go to work just like everybody else. You know, they want their kids to have a nice, safe place to live.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's like, okay, but we want this. We don't want murderers living next door to us either. No. You know, we don't want that. You know, we don't want that for anybody. But that, you know, that's just the thing. That's great. Great on Washington for doing that, because that's,
we're going to see who else follows suit.
Yes.
You know, we're going to see how that works out. And it's just right now insurance, but who knows what will come next.
Mm-hmm.
Man, yeah. I mean, like you said, the redlining, obviously has been around for decades, and they still do it.
Yeah.
They still got those maps, those color-coded maps that had the zip codes, and
Yeah.
where certain lenders like, yeah, you don't want to go over there, But like we said on our podcast, at least for Black people in general, that should be an advantage for us because a lot of investors don't like to invest in our neighborhoods. But we should be doing that.
Yeah.
Right, because when we make our neighborhoods, majority, has always been in a good area near the water, near downtown. What they do, they gentrify, and then we get mad. They come in, wipe everybody out, put up some stores, shopping centers, and now that's the best place to live.
Right.
And they ship you somewhere else. So
Right.
we should be
what's going on. And it's a cycle. It's going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
We got to change it one community at a time, one household at a time.
Right.
Education.
Educate. That's right.
Get some more education and pass it on. Because that's one of our things is, everything that we do, we have passion for, but of course we do it to make a living and to take care of our family as well. But at the same time, we want to leave something more than just material goods or money. We want to leave people, our family and our kids with the strong value system, with understanding that, they can obtain anything they want in this world. Anything that they can see, they can obtain. But there's a way to get it. And there's for everything that you gain, there's some sacrifices that need to be made. And that's where I think a lot of our younger folks, not all of them, but some of them fail to realize that, hard work does pay off. And so therefore, you can't just expect just because you woke up today that some money is going to fall out the sky or you're going to win the lotto or, any of those things. So, we want to leave a legacy. That's what the Bundys are about.
And that's what comes down to real property and land. We want to give it to them before we go. We want to watch and see how they're going to maneuver.
Handle it.
Yeah.
Well, y'all be right there to support them. I mean, you're already, without speaking or saying anything, you're already showing them what healthy relationships, look like. You both have goals individually and collectively, and I mean, you're entrepreneurs, the value of hard work and dedication. So that's a great legacy that they can say, and your grandchildren obviously can say, my granddad and my grandmother did this. So, I mean, just everything, hats off to y'all, because
we appreciate
it's really great to see that happening.
Some things that people don't know about us is that, like, our first 5 years are only 5 years together. We sacrificed. We lived multi-generational in an apartment in a small space. And that was so that we could invest and flip and try to grow. And it hasn't been all perfect. And I think it speaks to generations and others to say, you know what, we're transparent. Bringing up the bankruptcy factor, we've talked about that in our social media and rebuilding credit. These are things that we have learned and we are willing to share. We do not have a money tree in the backyard, okay?
I see something in the back behind that patio.
I know. There it is, right there.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, I think being willing to say you can make it through that. You can get through that. There are some top ramen moments.
Yeah. Listen,
it's showing folks that it's not always the end result that we haven't always been where we're at right now, and isn't where we're stopping. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to obtain more property. One of our goals is to make sure that each one of our kids has a property, if not multiple properties, before we leave. And, they can choose to rent it out. They can choose to sell it. They can choose to live in it rent free.
Always have someplace to go.
Pay the taxes.
Because we come from that as a people. We always have Big Mama's house to go to, or I've said in previous relationships, honey, you don't have to worry about me because I can go home. I have parents. I have someplace I can go. You know, and I know my first tantrum saying to Daddy, I might have to come home. He said, oh no, Dan Bundy.
So like my dad.
Good man. You stay right over there with that husband. How about that?
That's funny. All right, so look, all right, we're gonna move along. I know we kind of talked about earlier being in Washington. You said you're an agent, but it's the wording, the agent and broker. Can you kind of explain to everybody like what's the difference between an agent and a broker?
Well, right now, basically, they've changed it. It used to be once you got your real estate license, you were an agent. Now, once you get your real estate license, you're called a broker. And so it's just a change in the terminology. You know, and then you also have different types of brokers.
Mm-hmm.
You have a managing broker, you have a designated broker of the office, you know, that just carries a little more responsibility.
Okay. So in Washington, you just become a broker, but so like if you're in another state where I don't know, Washington is one of the states that like you said, you're called a broker. Like it's like here in Texas, you got to be an agent first, and then I don't know how many years, a couple of years, you can go and try to get your broker's license.
Well, it's pretty. There's quite a few states that have reciprocity.
Okay.
But now at this point, we started off as agents. We are still called agents, and we still call ourselves agents.
Mm-hmm.
But now in Washington State, you're brokers.
Oh.
Now there's just been levels of being a broker. So in this state, you have to be a broker licensed 2 years before you can manage or be a managing broker. So part of our training, we have a top shelf agent training for licensed real estate professionals. And after 2 years of our training, you are ready to open up your own brokerage.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
And one of the requirements is that it's 2 years from the date you sell. So our trainees get a contract in the first 90 days. So we either have them do a listing or have them sell something that we co-list or co-sell with them. So their clock starts from that 90-day point. So 90 days after you start your career, you are ready to go in. And that's why we have a 2-year program. Some people say 2 years, I don't need 2 years. I'm amazed that you can just spend 90 hours and start selling real estate. It's really something that's you know, like where are you getting the training from? But we see time and contracts and contract writing. It's a huge understanding curve.
Yes, it is.
So do you recommend people who are, let's say they're looking to get into real estate, are you recommending that they really take on that mentorship or, you know, for 90 days or 6 months or, you know, just go ahead and get them out there?
2 years? Yeah.
Yeah, majority of agents that get their license, they drop out within the first 6 months to a year. They quit because they find out that it's not what they thought it was. And that's due to the fact of the lack of training. And it's not always, you know, it's not always that their company's not giving that training. It's just, you know, they don't want to seem like they don't know anything. They just got their license, so they don't want to go to these trainings and feel like, you know, they're the dumb one in the group. You know, so
sometimes they feel like they're the smartest one.
Yeah.
They feel like they know more.
Yeah.
Especially millennials. Yeah. I don't mean to pick on them, but they come into the industry and they're so much smarter than tech savvy. They're everything. They know so much. It's like, it sounds like it's working for you.
Yeah.
Right. Keep it up.
It's just a 2-year mentorship program. You know, or having someone 2 years. And it's not all in person. It's not always about the contract, but it ends up being about the contract and staying out of lawsuits, you know, protecting yourself and protecting your clients.
That's good. That's good. I think that's very important because like you said, there's a lot of agents out here that don't know much. So they need that. This is something that I think that I know we've met that have been doing it 10, 15, 20 years. And it's like, you might need to
you've been doing it that long with one day at work.
Right. Well, we hear new agents come in and they're, you know, I've sold this many houses in this short a period of time, And I would almost want to see their contracts and how well they protected their people. We write with a lot of pages purposefully, and we're mindful of the advantages because we've been taken advantage of. And as agents, as husband and wife agents, we've entered into contracts that weren't the greatest contracts.
Right. And you know what? We're gonna talk about that a little bit. We're gonna ask y'all some questions about that because I'm interested in that one. For sure.
I mean, if y'all mind sharing.
Oh yeah, they don't care.
Absolutely. The other thing is that we almost always suggest with our sales when we represent someone, you ever consider real estate? You know, could be right for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't use it for anything other than acquiring other real estate, it's a great tool.
Or also helping your family out.
Oh yeah, let's pass it
your
forward.
Family or your friends.
Your friends.
You know, I mean, if you sold just 3 houses in a year, and that average commission was $10,000 on each house, that's $30,000 extra dollars that you have to add to your income for that year.
Or you, as a family member, what we do, and our children, buy a house, we'll forfeit the commission.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a 0 down program, and then we forfeited it for their closing costs. You can gift your commission to your family members, and what better gift than to offer the opportunity of ownership.
Yeah. Oh man.
Wow. That is, I never thought about that. You know, that's gonna be a hard sell for a lot of Black folks. You want my money? You crazy?
I want my commission.
Yeah. We'll split it.
Hey, they like, man, that ain't my kid.
I love you, but no. Yeah, this could be like I said before. It's, you know, we all know it's a very competitive industry, and it's different. Just going back to something that you say, Angelina, when people start hunting for their own food, you see who is, you know, who's the lion and tiger and who's the mouse. You know, it really differentiates the mindset of people. It's like the weak versus the strong in this industry, and you have to be able to withstand that.
Yeah. Survival of the fittest.
Yes, absolutely.
So speaking of survival, you know, you guys mentioned that, you know, Dan, you said you've been doing it for about 20 years. Angelina, about 20 years too.
19.
19. Hey, that's close. Hey,
that's right.
So tell us, like, because obviously that means that you guys were in this around or right at the cusp of 2001, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've been through 2001, 9/11, and how that affected the housing market, and just everything, right, in the country. And then you've been through 2008, right? Everybody remember that if you felt it.
Yeah.
And then now we just got hit with COVID. So you guys have been through like 3 big major things in the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
And you still managed to survive it and still be doing what you guys are doing, which I think is amazing. You know what I mean? Because like you said, most people don't stay. They quit.
No, exactly.
So like, can you guys kind of give us you know, maybe a little story, or, you know, what you guys have experienced going through all those things throughout the years, and, you know, comparing it to now, how you survived it?
Well, first of all, I just want to say this. I don't know what we're looking like on the screen, but we are Black. Black folks have always gone through. Like, I don't any other times. We know how to survive. We're survivors.
Right.
And so I don't know that any of these major life events were different, because our family members, I remember my maternal great grandmother with a slave brand on her arm in her casket. So I don't know, and I'm 57. I'll just say, I know I look 21. But
you know, Black don't Black. Yeah, I know that.
And so we get tight, and we go to the church. You know, we lean on God. And so that's for starters. I'm not sure that pandemic, 9/11.
No, I mean, you know, they had the there are differences, and they affected the economy and they affected real estate sales.
Absolutely.
But you know, without question, real estate is a cycle. You know, real estate sales, and you know, so when you look at it from that standpoint, you know, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, and during those times, you know, while it was low for some, it was high for others. You know, so in those times where people were uncertain of this current economy and the future economy, they took advantage of that because a lot of people, you know, were struggling, they going through it, they lost their jobs, they, you know, were looking for jobs. And so, you know, the people that had cash bought their houses for little or nothing. And so, you know, again, with that.
And sometimes rented it back to them.
Exactly. You know,
that's cool.
sometimes also gave them, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 just so that they would move out. Exactly. You know, so, you know, during that 2008, you know, I recall that, you know, very well because I had a lot of friends that were buying homes and using the adjustable rate mortgage.
That's right.
And so when they got, and then they didn't even have to state, it was stated income. So they didn't even have to show taxes. Did they show bank statements?
No.
They
didn't even show bank statements.
Yeah, so they were getting into homes without any of these with no paperwork, basically. And then they were on the adjustable rate mortgage, which meant that their mortgage was at a low interest rate to start out. But then over the course of time, it would gradually go up and adjust to the current interest rate. And so people were having $1,100, $1,200 mortgages. Next month, they went up to like $2,500
or more.
And so they were losing their properties. And you know, it just, with real estate, that's how it goes. I mean,
and losing their minds.
Yeah, and losing their minds.
We saw depression and self-inflicted deaths, suicide, in the droves.
Yeah,
you know, and it wasn't just because it was rainy outside.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you didn't see it as much in the African American community because we were already disadvantaged. We had already been redlined. We had already had blockbuster situations. You know, unfortunately, we've experienced slavery just a few generations ago. It hasn't been that long. And so I think that when you know the trends and you know the market and you know the marketplace, you're not as intimidated by the things that are going to come. Like right now, we just wrote a contract the night before last, sight unseen.
Over list price.
Well over list price. And we might not get that contract. But the good news is guess what? Unfortunately, pandemic has brought about moratoriums and stays. So people have had modifications. And, you know, back in June, people were asking us, should I not pay my mortgage for this many days or this many months? And then the bank says I can make a balloon payment. Now, if you didn't have money to pay your mortgage in June, why do you think in 6 months you're going to have money to make a big balloon payment? Okay, so we're going to see more inventory. I think it was Monday. There was only 36 or 37 houses on the market. I made a post in the entire state of Washington. Okay,
only 37.
I saw that on Facebook.
Right, I posted something like that, and then just the day that I posted it, there was 800 and some odd listings.
That's more average
for the whole state of Washington. So we're going to see that the moratorium lifts in March on the 30th or 31st, maybe the 1st, I don't know, but it lifts in a few days. The people that have sat on rent and haven't paid any rent, those landlords and the owners of that property, they also haven't paid a mortgage. Okay, so we're going to have some serious scrambling. There's going to be some eggs cracked, a lot of offers to be made. And so, you know, I don't know. President said it the best. He said, before it gets better, it's going to get worse. It's really interesting to see. And this is different from the 90s and the 2008 craze, okay? Because the banks really, really, really did a number. They benefited. They had all sorts of bailouts, and you had people that executives that really walked away in a good position. Now you're going to see that being different because now pandemic did something that the other life experiences didn't do. Pandemic didn't pick gender. It didn't pick age. It didn't pick creed, color. Pandemic took us all. Everyone affected by pandemic. So it's going to be funny to see how that plays out. Funny in a bad way.
And as far as how it affected our business, it's hard to say because a lot of people are moving to Seattle for jobs. And so, you know, we already have a situation where we have a shortage of homes for the people that were already living here. And so, I mean, of course, the pandemic had an effect on us and on our business, but for as far as we saw, it was in a positive light. You know, people were still buying. They didn't care. You know, we were in a pandemic. Houses were still selling within 7 days if they were priced right. Right now, shoot, it don't even matter if they're priced right, you know, because people are going up and above the appraised value. So, you know, and they're coming out their pockets with that. So, you know, we've seen houses.
We've seen 125,000
over the list price.
Okay. And so
within 7 days.
or less.
And then some of these all cash. You know, they're not even doing any financing. It's all cash. So within a clear title, 10 to 12 days after a clear title, they're closing the deal.
And not age-wise, but we want to also point out, we have buyers right now that are putting hundreds, plural.
Yeah, thousands
dollars down. Okay. So they're, you know, to give you a realistic look at what that looks like, they're looking at a $600,000 house. They're putting down $200,000. They're going to have a mortgage on just $400,000. We're teaching trends and options for them to pay that 30-year mortgage off in 15 years or less by making interest payments, or not interest payments, I'm sorry, by making principal payments every 2 weeks, adjusting the mortgage, the principal balance. So when you have the agents that are seasoned, that understand how the trend really works, you can help them design. And they don't care about the amount of the house appraisal. Although because of the lack of inventory, they're appraising. Yeah. But there are those cases, and they are plentiful, where a person is, I'll spend $80,000 over because my agent and myself understands the trend of what this neighborhood is going to look like. You know, there's 3 new schools in the area. There's Starbucks.
Man.
There's
Starbucks, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods.
You see what the Metroplex is doing. The light rail system will be here. So it doesn't really matter, because I know a couple of years ago, remember, we picked up our daughter from work downtown in Seattle. By the time we got out to Kent, where her car was parked, it was nice to see her. She could have been on the train and been home. We got her home 30 minutes later. Than she. Okay, because the traffic is sick. So the traffic from Tacoma, near, if you guys remember where the casino is in Tacoma, traffic there from that stop all the way to downtown Seattle, it is faster to take public transportation.
Oh, we know, because we was in Auburn, so we was in the middle. So it's like we want to go to Tacoma.
Auburn's a hot commodity right now.
It is. Listen, it was when we were there too.
When we first moved there,
they need a light rail system to come from Auburn.
When we moved there in 2017, so it was like the beginning of 2017, it was kind of, it wasn't a whole lot of people. They didn't have the Lifetime Fitness right there on Auburn Way. We can get around within 10 minutes. Yeah. We looked up one day, we was like, man, how it taking me 10 minutes just to get to 15, 20 minutes just to get to 167.
Yeah.
From where we were, it was
that train station, that train stop is major now. That the people are parked. I don't know where they're parking.
I know.
Because
all over downtown Auburn.
Right. Right.
And the funny thing is, because all the property that was pricing out of Seattle, they were sky high, and in Tacoma started booming. And we're like, we in the middle. And I'm telling Gideon, I'm like, hey, we were one of the only few places that they didn't have all those restrictions, where you squatters and all that other crap. Like, we didn't have that.
That time is past.
People started buying up property, and then it was like we had like 200,000 equity in like a year and a half. And then it just kept going up, and now that same property in that area on that street, they're going for almost $1 million.
Oh yeah, the Auburn is an awesome neighborhood. We have one of our financial advisors, our trusted advisors. I'll just say Don Pack with Zillow. He's like, Auburn's a good market, because we still buy leads sometimes, and so Zillow's preaching it. It's probably true. Frank, our insurance, our trusted insurance advisor, not to air him out on the podcast, but he bought in Auburn. You look at certain advisors that you trust and you see the areas. Now Auburn's going to be hot. The Bundy said, buy in Auburn.
Hey, I ain't lying. We know you. If we could have got 2, man, we'd have been good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But cause we got in right when before it just started shooting up.
Yeah.
But okay, so with everything you guys have said that you guys gone through 2001, 2008, COVID, would you say that this is a good time for people to invest in real estate? Like, should they get into this market that's so competitive, with people paying, extra amount of, money on these properties?
Yes, we would. I mean, because property, there's so much that you can gain from buying property. You can use it either to live in, you can use it as investment, you can have somebody else paying your mortgage, you can use it to pull equity out to do other ventures that you might have. It's just, and there's no more land. This is it. So, I mean, it gets down to supply and demand. So when you look at it from that standpoint, and you look at the power that people have when they own their own property compared to the powerless people are when they don't own their own property. I mean, it's just amazing. When I look at it, I think of, a lot of times in our communities, we're renting apartments, we're staying in low income housing, and we're getting over. And really, and then we're driving around in, cars that we really can't afford. But, the reason why we do that is because we all want to feel important, and we all want to know, we might not know where someone lives, but if you tell somebody, hey, so-and-so, and they say, no, I don't know him. Then you say, no, he's the one that drives the drop top Benz. Oh, the green one? Yeah, I know.
That's how we identify well.
Exactly.
Right?
And so, it's, for me, I just think that, we really have to educate, we really have to change our way of thinking, and that's not just for real estate, but for life and how we treat each other, how we speak to one another, how we, show that we care. We use certain words and we say that's a word that we choose to use of endearment, but really, is that? Or have we been well trained into putting each other down to the point where now when we put each other down, we think that we're showing affection.
Right.
Wow.
That's true.
Go on, Preacher Dan.
Yeah.
that was well said. I mean, I do use the word sometimes.
Yeah.
We have
It's not all the time in a derogatory way unless somebody pisses me off.
Yeah.
No, that's true though, because when you watch people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, and you see all these people, and they like where we're from, Omaha. Warren Buffett is from there. I remember seeing him in overalls driving this old truck.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knew this is a billionaire, multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
Still staying in an old house, still got the same car. Now, it's not to say that, we all have to live like that, but I think it just makes you put things in perspective that you have people out here who look like they got money, and on their financial sheet, they don't.
Yeah.
So they're trying to put on that, they're putting on that perception like they have something when the person, and we always laugh, call it the Subaru starter package.
Oh,
He got the
we
Subaru.
do.
You know what I'm saying? He got the little polo shirt tucked in the jeans and the old New Balance, you know. And you look like, you know, oh, that man got no money, right? Because the dude pulled up in the new Benz, you know. But you look at both of their financial receipts, and it's a big difference. That dude in the Subaru got wealth. He got assets. You know what I mean? He can tap into that like it ain't nothing. His bank account is on swope, right?
Yeah.
So it's more of we think, like you said, the wealth is in the cars, you know, the jewelry, the clothes. When it's really not, you know what I mean? Because when you die, that ain't gonna be worth nothing.
Nah.
Like, you know what I mean? We want to pass assets, you know what I'm saying, down to your kids. So
Or at least have your assets pay for your liabilities. That's where people get everything misconstrued. You can have things because everybody, you know, has their material things that they want. You know, I mean, you know, no one wants to live a life of lack. But if that's all your purpose is, you know, you just gonna have an empty life. There's, you know, there's nothing there, you know, whereas like you both talked about, you know, leaving a legacy. I mean, you're leaving your children debt. And that's what a lot of times, that's what, you know, what we see in our community is people leaving their children debt, or their children having to ask family for money or sell fish dinners and, you know, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
You talking about somebody specific?
Don't forget GoFundMe.
Yeah, GoFundMe.
Man.
For funeral.
That's crazy.
To bury somebody.
It costs a couple of dollars a day just to have a life insurance policy. Like,
that's stuff you can get the life insurance, you know, because that comes back to our health and our community and the education. So it's a sad thing. We have a lot of work to do. You know?
Yes, we do. We do.
Each one, reach one, teach one.
That's right.
But I want to go back to something that Angelina mentioned about your contract with how you're being creative with the contract that you're doing with a buyer. It was for me, that's really educational. I mean, does that come from your background in mortgage? Because you said you worked in the mortgage industry, if I'm correct, for 5 years.
I was in the mortgage industry. I came in the mortgage industry about 98, maybe.
Okay.
98 or so. So I was in the mortgage industry for a lengthy amount of time beforehand, but that's not actually, I've had some good teachers, John Baker, Jefferson Butler. They're just really savvy lenders. Ron Bennett, you know, we just had some savvy people in our lives. However, the contracts actually came from, I have a legal background, so I'm a paralegal by trade. And so I took contract classes, and my thought on all the contract classes in the world are not going to teach you how to negotiate a good real estate contract. My mother bought her first houses on a real estate contract. So yeah, contract writing is something that we support. Continual training. Rochelle Wilhite, the founder of Best Choice, she is incredible when it comes to contract writing. And so knowing the contract, you can then share that information. We send a copy of the contract to our buyers and our sellers so that they can read for themselves. And we're not practicing law, but really just negotiating a good contract for the end being.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, the other part is knowing what the seller wants. You know, that's a big part. A lot of these agents, they don't call the other agent to see, you know, what's important to the seller. Is it, of course, they want to get top dollar, but sometimes, you know, they need to get top dollar.
The terms.
Yeah, the terms. They have to get top dollar ASAP. That means that whoever's able to close the quickest with the most amount of money will get that mutual contract. Absolutely. You know, and so, you know, just knowing those simple things, knowing what, you know, you can waive the inspection and still have an inspection. You know, the only difference is you won't be able to use that to get out of the deal, but you at least know.
Or have repairs.
Right. Yeah, you'll at least know what the issues are with the house. So some agents, they'll tell them, excuse me, they'll tell the client, don't have an inspection, waive your inspection, and then they don't suggest that they get an inspection to even know what's wrong with the house, which we would never do. You know, no matter what type of market it is, no matter if it's a seller's or a buyer's market, you know, and a lot of times, you know, buyers may need closing costs. You know, what we'll do sometimes is we'll adjust our commission to help them with their closing costs, because we know the importance of helping our people, and you know,
helping our people have ownership. We go right back to the education piece,
and we tell them to pay it forward. It's not that we want it back, but you know, if somebody does something kind for you, take your time to figure it out, because it's not going to be a hard process. You're going to know somebody in your family. We're not talking about going out and saving the world, but you're going to know somebody in your family or a close friend that needs some help. Help them out.
Yeah.
Like you all said, reach one, teach each. Reach one.
Yeah. And it's copywritten.
Reach one, each one, teach one. Yeah.
That's right. Each one of us, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, so you know what? Looking at you guys, man, you know, like you say, beautiful black couple in real estate. You guys seem like you complement each other, right?
Thank
you.
Thank you so much.
You guys can just do everything. Like, would you say that? Well, what do you think are some advantages as being a couple working in real estate?
Oh, I got this.
Yeah,
I got this. You know, we don't look forward to date night, you know, because our date nights might end up encompassing checking out a neighborhood, or, you know, we work a good amount of time, but we have a very serious thought process in our house. And that's that even the Lord needed a day to rest. Yeah. So we trust, I trust that whatever Dan decides is going to be enough for me. I know that he is going to be considerate of our best interests. And I know he follows God, so I follow him.
Yeah.
I like that. I love that. Because
he's the man.
That's the thing too, because you know, like I was talking to an acquaintance of mine, and she, you know, strong black woman, she ain't need no man, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? You can have that. Because anybody that knows me knows that although I'm strong.
That's right.
You know, I want to have somebody that, you know, that I can lean on, and we're a team. There's no 50-50. We're just a team. You know, this is, you know.
And where he's weak, I'm strong. Where I'm strong, he's weak, and it takes us both, you know. So, but I trust him. Whatever he says. There's times, Kendra. There are times when I want to say, "Wait a minute," you know. But I don't. You know, I trust him, and so part of that trust is knowing that he's serving God. I asked him, "Bun, you heard from the Lord?" You know, or if I'm acting out, he might say, "Wife, I am praying for you." I already know then I'm off a little bit. My A is just tilted a little bit. I'm gonna let Bun figure out the rest of this time together.
All right.
It was wonderful being with you guys as a couple. Skate. You know, I wear spandex and bikinis. You know, well, that's how they do it.
Bye, Angelina. Thank you.
We're gonna keep y'all too long. We know we was rolling. You know, we was trying to make a good little thing, but we'll go ahead and ask a few more, and she's gonna make it out. So I mean, I was gonna say, you know, what are some challenges that y'all, you know, have faced being a black couple in real estate?
Well, I mean, some of the challenges are, you know, of course, we're African American first and foremost, and we never change that. We never lose sight of that. You know, there's always challenges. You know, that's why, you know, folks talk about, oh, you know, Bundy, I know Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. And I hit him back with, but all lives don't get killed by the police like Black lives. All lives don't go through the situations that how blacks treat each other. You know, I mean, there's a whole host of things, and you're reading too much into it when you get offended when you see a sign that says Black Lives Matter, because the sign doesn't say only Black Lives Matter. It says Black Lives Matter to wake folks up, because we've had videotapes of black folks being abused by the police. We got all kinds of stuff, and people still don't believe it. They think, oh, well, them black people must have been doing something that deserved that. And it's not true. It's the way that this whole system is set up. And so from that, you know, we understand, you know, we're black, but we're black and we're proud. You know, we say it loud, you know, and everything that we do, we try to show our excellence. We strive for our best. We don't try to, you know, go half-hearted on anything. You know, if we're gonna do it half-hearted, we don't do it. And you know, like my wife was saying, you know, we've had situations where we've got into some deals where that weren't favorable, you know, for us, but you learn from those and you move on. You don't, you know, stay angry at the whole world because something bad happened to you. You understand that that was a isolated situation, and you learn from it so that you don't have to go through it again, and you keep moving. You keep striving, you know, because that's what our ancestors did. That's what my parents and my grandparents taught me as a child. You know, if you fall, you get back up. If you get in a fight and you get beat up, you figure out a way where you know you get yours. You know,
Yeah, the resiliency.
you know, but at the end of the day, you still have life. You still have breath to live. You know, and to do better. And that's what we strive every day. We say, man, thank God that He woke us up today so that we can do better than we did yesterday.
Man, I can't say no better than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, as far as the challenges that we go through, I mean, there's all kinds of challenges. You know, we could say, you know, sometimes we work too hard, we get caught up. You know, if I don't write down on the calendar, man, let's, you know, me and my wife got to spend some quality time, just me and her. You know, go to the top of the Space Needle and, you know, get away from everything, or take a drive down to the ocean. I mean, those are things that we try to stay coherent on, and we try to stay on balance, because that's what life is all about, is staying balanced. You know, you can't have all work and no play, and you can't have all play and no work. You know, the people with all the time generally don't have money, and the people that got all the money don't have the time. So we're trying to balance that out so that we have the money to do the things that we want to do and share it with the people that we love.
Man.
Amen.
Come on, man.
That's internet. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah. Oh wow. I mean, it's just so much wisdom here. I don't even know where to go from here. I mean,
he like my church service on Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna send you my cash app. You know, I do need some new tires for my car.
That stimulus check coming in a minute. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's beautiful, you know, because we're seeing so many healthy relationships happen here, you know, between, you know, Black women and couples, and the interaction between Black men. You know, there's so many stigmas, as you said, and so many disadvantages that happen to us. And the first thing that happens in, you know, being in business with your partner, your life partner, excuse me, and, you know, yourself as an individual, you know, having those relationships with yourself, is the outside influences come in and they try to break up your relationship with your significant other. That's the first thing that happens. And then you start to question things, and then you're like, okay, well, we have a business together too, you know, so a lot of things get, you know, get misconstrued and misunderstood. So you have to have a strong foundation, and you and Angelina definitely have that. You know, that foundation where you said you have a healthy, you know, relationship with yourselves, because I mean, we can see that. And then a healthy relationship with each other, and then you have your business, you know, together, where you're working together. So that's amazing. I mean, I applaud that, you know, because Ramon and I are learning from that, you know, how to have a healthy relationship, because neither one of us really got to see that, you know, where we got to see strong Black marriages and appreciate people having their own individuality and stuff like that. So that's amazing.
I mean, and that's what, you know, when I talk to my wife about that, you know, because my parents divorced at an early age. So, you know, some of the benefits of that is I got to leave Seattle every summer, you know, and see my dad's family on the East Coast, which was a totally different world from what I was used to. And what that did was that helped me to open up my mind so that I didn't feel like, see, I'm born and raised in Seattle. This is where I'm gonna work. This is where I'm gonna have a family. This is where I'm gonna die. You know, I never had that concept, you know, where a lot of people, you know, most people don't travel. Most people, you know, wherever they're born, that's where they die. You know, very few people move around. And so from that, it just helped me to understand the importance of knowing that everybody doesn't do things the same way. We're all individuals, you know, and if you understand that, you understand that, you know, because we're individuals, just because I choose to do it like this and this person chooses to do it like that, that doesn't make me right and them wrong. It just means that there's two different ways that things can be done. And when you start opening your minds to understanding how this world is set up and how, you know, a lot of things that we do, we've been trained to do. You know, a lot of things are conditioning. You know, our environment teaches us. You know, you know, a simple example is, you know, when most Black people ride past the police, we're not waving at the police like, "Hi, Officer Friendly." We're looking in our rearview mirror to make sure that they didn't do a U-turn and come pull us over. You know, on the flip side, you know, you have Europeans or other people of different races. When they pass the police, they're waving, "Hey, how you doing?" And so just from that instance right there, you know, it's two different mindsets. Who's right and who's wrong? Well, you know, we're not wrong for feeling that way because that's what's been created in our environment. You know, why is there way more, like double, triple the amount of police in the Black communities as there are in the white communities? Does it mean that there's nobody's getting their house broken into in the white communities? No. I mean, they have crimes just like any other community, but a lot of times they don't report them. They don't, you know, if they send them, you know, if a house gets broken into, they don't report it to the police. They just call their insurance, you know, and their insurance replaces everything and they go on about their business, you know. So it's just a lot of things that I think were taught during slavery and after slavery. And when you think about it, you know, it's sad that we really haven't come that far. You know, people want to say, "Oh yeah, we're making great gains in this area and that area." You know, now we got, you know, Black men on the Supreme Court, and we didn't have a Black president, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, you know, the thing about that is the best thing that I believe President Obama did was he showed our children that they could become president.
Right.
You know? And I mean, because his hands were tied as far as a lot of the policies and a lot of the things that he could have done. Yeah, he pardoned a lot of folks from prison, and, you know, he did some great things. He set up the healthcare. But when you really think about where we're at as a Black people, it's not even about how other people treat us. It's about how we treat each other. It doesn't matter what white people think about us, what Asian people think about us, what any of these other races think about us. What matters is what we think about each other and how we treat each other in public as well as in private. That's what's going to make the change, you know?
It is. It
And it
is.
doesn't matter about money. It doesn't matter. Because my mom used to tell me, "Boy, I don't care if you grow up and live in the projects your whole life. When I come to visit you in the projects, number one, your bathroom and your kitchen better be clean."
Right.
You know, I don't care about the rest of the house, but the bathroom and the kitchen. Because if I'm gonna eat over there, I better not see no dirty dishes.
Yeah, dirty dishes in the sink, nasty bathtub.
Right. Man,
You know,
none of that.
for real. You know, and I just know that, you know, I mean, when I think about my mother and my father, you know, what they instilled in me as a man and as a child, you know, was to always do my best and to make a difference, because we're all special. We all have special qualities. It's all what we tap into. You know, it's inside of us. You know, our ancestors went through some of the most horrific times of any people. You know, and people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about reparations. That's fine. But what Black people, what we need to do is we need to figure it out. We need to come to some type of understanding with ourselves about how we treat and how we want to treat and be treated by each other. And it's not gonna take no government to do that. We got it inside of us, you know, but we got to have some people that are man enough to stand up and let folks know that it's our problem. We're not talking, we don't blame white people. We don't blame Asian people. We don't blame nobody. We're figuring it out. We're going to figure this out. This is on us. We kill more of each other than any other race. The police don't kill half as many of us as we kill of each other. But we don't get upset about that. Oh, well, we know. Well, they know they shouldn't have been messing with Pookie. They know Pookie crazy.
Mhm.
You know? You know? And I mean, the issues that we have, in our communities, it's just, man, it's a shame because, a lot of our women are mistreated. And you know why a lot of our women are mistreated? They're mistreated because their fathers, their uncles, their brothers, their cousins are locked up.
Yeah.
If their daddies and their uncles and their cousins and their brothers were free, ain't no way these cats would be treating their sisters or their nieces or their daughters the way that they treat them. And that's facts.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah, those are things that we regularly talk about on our podcast. I mean, my dad, he, thank God he is who he is today, but he was in, prison for a while. And my uncle, same thing. But I always remember that, my dad was always there when he could be. And just having those male figures in my life, I didn't take a lot of stuff, when it came to relationships or, how I felt about myself. Or, I always try to surround myself with women who would empower me. Yes, we've all, done some things that we're not proud of. But I think that, lack of self and lack of knowledge, as we all said before, it really hinders people from excelling in life. And when you don't believe in yourself, wealth is not a concern. Your health is not a concern. The only thing you're concerned about is surviving. And that's what's happening in our communities. People are not interested in hearing what we have to talk about. All they're thinking about is surviving. I have to survive. I got to get up and go to that job tomorrow that I don't want to go to. I got to deal with this, I got to deal with that. It's just like living, what's that? Hand over fist.
Yeah.
So who wants to live like that? And what I'm finding too is when we tell people about what it is that we do or what we anticipate seeing, as you and Angelina mentioned, that legacy, people always want to bring up the I've been through this, I've gone through that, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. And I'm like, well, we did too. We did too. I mean, us, we've been through that. It's not always about the struggle. So it's about the progress. Where can you go from here? Nowhere but up.
Yeah. But I think, one of our situations is that, what we've learned is that even when we're going through stuff, take the focus off of what you're going through. Take the focus off of yourself, because regardless of what we're going through at any given time, there's some other folks that are going through way worse. There's some other folks that, for instance, may be on their deathbed. They may be in and out of the hospital not knowing what's wrong with them. I mean, there's so many other things that go on in the world. It's like, when you focus just on your situation and what you're going through and why is this happening to me? It's not, I mean, I don't say that it's wrong to question God as far as what you're going through, because, we all need to figure that part out as well. But whenever we're going through something, take the focus off of yourself. Try to understand that you're still here for a purpose. And whatever you're going through, it's just temporary, because the time that we have on earth is only temporary. So regardless of what our situation is going to be temporary as well. And so when I think of, just everything that, we need to do as people, because, I mean, nobody wants, like you were saying, nobody wants, to live next to a murderer or to, a drug dealer, because there's situations are, it could be good one day and horrible the next. And, I think that, a lot of times we've been taught to glamorize, those people that are selling drugs and doing criminal acts in our community because they got money and they come around and they might give out free turkeys or, on Thanksgiving, or, give Big Mama, a couple $100 so she can go get the grandkids some toys or whatever. But what the bottom at the end of the day is, we know what's right and we know what's wrong. And when these guys say that they can't get a job because they got felonies and this and that and the other, a lot of that could be true. I don't know, but what I do know is that when you're passing any type of drugs or anything that's negative in our community, you're killing our soul, and when you do that, it's like, how are we, supposed to praise these guys that are going around shooting people, killing people in the community, selling drugs, I mean, I know that we can figure this out. And I know that it's up to us that understand what's going on and know that it's wrong and know that, man, our lives can be so much better. Without these things, they make it seem like we have to have these things. And if it wasn't them, it'd be somebody else. That's not true. It's not true, and I don't know the answer to the question, but I definitely want to group up with some folks to try to figure it out, because I know how important it is, not only to us, because the way I look at it, shoot, I'm in the second half of life, but I want to do some things that are going to make it better for our children and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren, and for people's children that never even meet us or get to meet us, I mean, that's what I think life is really about, and we do this real estate and we do it wholeheartedly because we want to give back and we want to help people to get on a better playing field, a more level playing field, because money ain't everything, but when you got money, you can do things. And when you don't have money, there's still things you can do, but it's limited.
Hey, I like
that was powerful.
Out to the people, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Come on,
Hey, well, you know what? With that, let's end it on this note, man, because we talk about real estate, obviously, but we like to talk about anything that's attributed to wealth, right? Because slow wealth. So, tell us, what does wealth mean to you, and how do you think real estate, whether it's being an agent, broker, or whatever, how do you think that can help someone gain wealth?
Okay. Well, wealth to me means that you have multiple income streams. That could be a 9 to 5 W-2 with also investments in stocks and bonds, real estate, various different avenues. Just basically being able to create more than just enough money to have a savings account. Wealth to me is being able to have enough money to make a difference if that's what's in your heart. I know that, sometimes I think, man, we got millionaires in the city of Seattle, multimillionaires, if they wanted to, I mean, they could clear up everything, they could clear it all up. But that's like, would that change anything? And part of me believes that it would. Part of me believes that things would go back to being the same, because it's all about your mindset. Excuse me. Wealth is super important. And I believe, from my standpoint, the thing that I would put all my money into to create wealth would be real estate. And the reason why I say that is because it's the only thing that's always going to have value. There's other things that you can invest in, but they're not always going to have good positive value. In real estate, you're going to have everything grows. I mean, when I look at the prices of houses, when my grandfather bought a house back in like the early 70s, he paid like $25,000 for a house up in Mount Baker, not far from Lake Washington. Wow. Yeah. And when I think about what his house sold for, so he sold the house in 2013, and it was a fixer at that point, but 2-bedroom, one and a half bath, he sold it for $350,000. Okay. So when I look at that, and say, man, that's how you create wealth, by creating multiple investment properties and letting other people pay for it. Because when you think about wealth, how do you become wealthy? Well, you got to have multiple streams of income, or you have to be able to duplicate yourself and have multiple people working for you, which means that when they make money, you're making money. So if you're asleep and they're up making money, you're still making money while you're sleeping. And that's when I think about wealth, I think about what's going to be, how do we create that residual? How do we create passive residual income? Because that's all you really need to become wealthy, is if you have passive income coming in residually, it's gonna compound. And when you start talking about compounding interest and things of that nature, I mean, it just takes it to a whole nother level. And I mean, a lot of that stuff, and that's what I was saying earlier, a lot of the stuff that we need to know as people, we don't know. And we don't know that we don't know the stuff that we don't know, because nobody's taking the time to even say, hey, here's a good book, read about your people, read about Black Wall Street. Once upon a time, we could only do business with each other, and we did it quite well. We did it so well that they, lied about us. They created chaos. They, bombed us. They did all these things to our people because they didn't want to see us do better than them. And I just want to share with you this. I was watching Chris Rock the other day, my wife and I, and he made a comment. He said, you got all these white folks saying, we're losing, we're losing jobs, we're losing, properties, we're losing all these things. Chris Rock said, well, if they're losing, who's winning? Because it's not us. Right. And when he said that, it just made so much sense, because, you got people that are angry. And I always question this. It's like, why are you so angry? What have we done to you? That's a psychological problem that they have going on. That's the issue that they have going on with themselves. And so we can't fix that, because there's no problem. We've never done anything to them, So from that standpoint, I just know that we can figure out our situation. We have to become a part of the solution and not a part of the problem, because a lot of times we get money, we want to move out in suburbs. We want to forget about, the people in the inner cities or the people that are living in the projects. And it's not so. And I believe in my heart that it's not about, we're not telling you once you make it that you got to save the world. We're just saying, man, reach back in your own family. Reach back, tap back into somebody that, is smart enough to be an accountant, or smart enough to be a doctor, or smart enough to be a lawyer, and they have a passion for that. And let's invest in them. Let's make a way that we can help them get into college. Let's start prepping them when they're in middle school, when they're in junior high, so that by the time they get in high school, they got a plan. Let's bring hope back. Let's get off of this. Oh, this is what it's going to be. My mama was in the projects. My grandmama was in the projects. Now I'm going to have some kids before I graduate from high school, and I'm going to be in the projects. We got to break the cycle. But the only way that we break the cycle is we got to sincerely want to break the cycle. We got to sincerely want to help each other. It's not all about self. Yeah, we all want to be successful. But I think a lot of times, man, we're so brainwashed into thinking that, we want to be like them.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, we're so far off the mark when we want to be like them and we want to do it like they do it. We got to do it like we do it.
That's true.
Wow.
Yeah, take it over, man.
Look, we done talked about Black wealth, Black enterprise, Black entrepreneurship, healthy marriages, relationship with self, to building what it takes to build wealth in the Black community. Like, this interview is just everything right now. It's everything that we talk about. It's everything that encompasses us. I mean, I said, we're walking logos. So we have to present ourselves in a certain way and hold our head up high and have our shoulders back and show confidence to the world, that we can do it.
Yeah, and it's not even
with no help.
exactly, and it's not even showing them. It's showing us.
Yes, yeah.
The people, everybody is proud of their race and where they came from. We're the only ones that lack that as African Americans. We're the only ones that can't say, oh yeah, my ancestors came from Nigeria or my ancestors came from Senegal. We're the only ones that can't say that. And I know that that's a piece that's missing from us. They know that. That's why they changed our names. They changed our language, everything. They wouldn't, they broke us down. And that's where the Willie Lynch and all that comes into play. That stuff is serious. That stuff is like, they knew what they were doing. They did a well job. Well job done. Because we're still going through we're still tripping over the same stumbling blocks as a people.
We are. We definitely are. Well, thank you and Angelina so much for taking the time to grace us with your presence, because it has definitely been educational for both of us,
Sure.
and just to hear you speak and give so much wisdom and knowledge about, what it is that we can do to, move forward and progress and invest and, start a business and, be entrepreneurs. That is just amazing. So again, thank you.
Man, we thank both of you because we're super proud of both of you. That's the thing about us. We'd love to see other brothers and sisters doing well. Some folks don't get it. It's like, man, they see us. But see, all that stuff comes back to slavery. All of that, we were always pitted against each other. Even after slavery, they pick and choose. Okay, well, slavery's over, so we're gonna let you guys come and work, but we ain't gonna let you because you're this or you're that. And it's like, man, we got to get out of that. And I don't know how, but I know that we can because we're intelligent people, we're loving people, and it's a process because we didn't get this way overnight, and we're not going to get out of this condition overnight, but we can make a difference. And it may take us going back to Africa and buying some land and reestablishing ourselves, because when I think about it here, no one is safe. If you're Black, you're not safe. You have a 50-50 chance of making it home at night. When you walk out your door, and sometimes you ain't even got to leave your home because sometimes people will make a false call and the police come and shoot you in your own house. So it's like you're never safe. And white people, Asian people, yeah, they all want to listen to our music, and which is another point of interest. Why is it that we only hear our women degraded, talking about our men being pimps and drug dealers and having money and all that other stuff that everybody can't do, but everybody can get a job, do what they can to take care of their family, live a righteous life, and give something back. Everybody can do that. But, the things that are taught, from the media, from our music, all of that stuff, it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. And we got to do it. We got to do better as a people, especially educated people that have a heart, that want to see all of us succeed. And all of our success doesn't have to be at the same level. All of our success can be at different levels, but we all know that, man, we put in our all. We're doing our best. We're trying to improve in various different areas daily. And let's get a plan. Let's get a plan to get our stuff together and stop this madness.
Yes, stop the madness. Well, thank you everyone for listening and watching the Slow Wealth podcast. I'm Kendra, and this is Ramon, and we had Angelina and Mr. Bundy, Mr. Dan Bundy, with Best Choice Realty. Again, thank you. Please subscribe to Slow Wealth. That is Success Lives on Elevation. Like, love, comment, again, subscribe. We're on Facebook, Slow Wealth. That's SLOEWEALTH. Listen to us on Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, all podcast platforms. And again, Dan and Angelina, thank you so much for being here with us.
Man, thank you guys. And we're going to do it again. You know,
yes, we are. Yes, we are. Wealth of knowledge.
Hey, before we get out of here, just real quick, Dan, take a couple seconds, tell everybody, how they can reach you if they're in the Seattle area, if they want to invest or, want to chop it up with you guys.
Okay, yeah, we're you can actually reach me at 206-735-8520. That's my cell number, and my email is soldbydanlbundy@gmail. Our website is under construction right now, but it'll be up and running soon, and I will get that out to everyone.
And we'll definitely put that in the notes for everybody, all your contact info. So,
okay,
how to get a reach you, man. Hey, I appreciate the interview, man. I mean, it was a lot of fun, bro. Like for real, I loved it.
Come on, man. I told you I was excited about this, and I really am.
We are too.
This stuff is passionate to me, because we can make a difference. We really can.
We is, and we starting with this. So
yeah,
put this out, man. We hopefully get a lot of feedback from folks, and we can definitely set it up to do it again sometime. So
yeah, absolutely. And then also my wife's she's got a new number. Her number is 206. Actually, let me grab my phone. Sorry. She just got a new number. The number is 206. Where is that? 900-2170. And her email is Angelina Bundy, soldbyAngelinaBundy@gmail.
Okay.
All right. So we have your contact information. Again, we'll put it in the description and in the notes below. Okay. So with that said, again, thank you so much.
Man, thank you. I applaud you guys. Keep doing
it. Thank you.
All right.
Everyone have a great day, and thank you for tuning in. We love y'all.
All right.
I'll let you, bro.